Hello everybody, I'm Diane from Yoga in Bawley Point. Today's practice is going to be a healthy hip sequence, which will stretch the hips in various positions to ensure that the largest joint in your body is treated with kindness to allow the healthy opening of the hips. So we'll start straight away. This is going to be a yin practice. So make sure that throughout your poses that you are warm enough. It is getting into the cooler months now. So we're going to start first with lying on your backs. A reclined butterfly pose. So take the soles of the feet together. Allow the knees to just gently fall out to the side. Arms beside the body. Allowing gravity to work here on the knees. Letting them come down, which I forgot my timer. We're going to stay here for 3 minutes. So making yourself comfortable. Now in our yin poses, we come to that very first degree of where we feel that resistance. So you'll notice it around in the inner part of the hips and the groin area. Just take it slowly, soles of the feet together, knees out wide. Let the shoulders drop down to the floor and the arms move away from the body with the palms facing upwards. So of course we're targeting the hips here. And in our yin poses, we target the fascia and the connective tissue, which is within the body, to hold all your organs, every part of you together. The fascia is a little bit tougher, so here we take time just to let it sink down. Working into the fascia, the outer layers of fascia first, and then the deeper layers. Within that fascia, we have meridians. And the meridians target different organs of the body. Here in your reclined butterfly, you'll be targeting the gallbladder, the urinary bladder, follow your breath, maintain some stillness, and just let the body sink a bit deeper. The Swadhisthana chakra, which is the chakra just below the navel. It's your second chakra, that orange spinning disc, connected with your emotions. We're targeting into that. Just surrender to the pull of gravity here, not forcing it, allowing the knees to drop out a bit further if they're able to. Noticing where you're feeling this and staying with it. For the last, say, minute of this reclined butterfly, I'd like you to notice completely your breath. Breathe in and out through the nostrils. Make a deeper breath in and a lengthened breath out with full awareness. Two more lengthened inhalations and exhalations. And then after that second exhalation, you can use your hands, if you like, to bring the knees up towards one another, soles of the feet to the mat. Then lengthen your legs out. Let the feet flop apart. We're in your rebound. Notice the sensations that are happening for you in the groin area and maybe also the lower back. Stay with your rebound. From here we're going to move to the next pose, which is going to be on your back as well, a reclined thread the needle. So bend both knees, feet to the mat. You can tuck that tailbone slightly if you choose. Now let's take your right ankle over your left knee. Take your right hand and place it on the right knee. Gently encourage that knee to move away from you. Hold it here a few breaths. The timer is now on for 3 minutes. Just doing the best you can. Release that right knee. Lift your left foot up. Take right hand between the legs, left hand around the outside. So we're encouraging that left knee to come in a little bit closer until you feel that resistance. You'll notice it around in the glute area here because we're working deep into the outside of the hip. Now, if you have knee problems, particularly your right knee, flex your right foot and that closes up the joint in that right knee, which will protect it a little bit more. But if your knee is okay, you can allow the foot just to relax down. We're working here into the hips. Well, at the moment, the right hip and both knees. The meridians we'd be targeting would be the gallbladder and the spleen. Follow your breath. If you find that your mind starts to take control of your poses, that's when you increase the breath a little bit more and you follow it. Be fully aware of your breath. Just breath by breath, layer by layer. Allow yourself to sink deeper. Working into the second and third chakras. The Swadhisthana chakra, that orange spinning disc, connected to your emotions. And the Manipura chakra, that yellow spinning disc, and connected to your self-esteem. Now only here, if it's available to you, in this last, say 30 seconds of this side of your reclined thread the needle, you can move that right foot closer to the body, but don't do it if your body doesn't allow it. You listen to your body. You only go as far as comfortable for you. Another 3 breaths in and out. And then on that next inhale, release the leg. Take your arms out. Take that left leg to the mat. The foot comes down first. Then the right foot will come to the mat. Lengthen the legs out. Notice the changes between the right side of the lower body and the left side. Stay with your rebound. Maybe feeling a bit of warmth through that right side. Now we're going to come into the opposite side, the left side. So bend both knees, take feet to the mat. Take your left ankle over your right knee. Take your left hand onto that knee and gently encourage it to move away from you a little bit. Why we do that is we sink then that large head of the femur bone into the hip socket. Now we release the leg, lift the right foot off the mat, take your left hand between the legs, right hand around the outside. Either hold around underneath the knee, or you can hold underneath at the back of the thigh. Now, if your knee is too sore for you to bring that right foot in, what you can do is just take that right foot to the mat and stay as you are, still encouraging that left knee to move away. But if it's appropriate for you, bring that right knee in, hugging it in towards you. And remember, if your right knee is tender, please flex that left foot. Now follow the breath here. Just breath by breath, coming deeper into your pose. We take our time so the fascia can release a little bit more. Now it's easy to hold tension in the shoulders. Let the shoulders relax down. Let that right foot be soft. Following your breath. If you find that you can come a little bit deeper into it, you can either hug that right knee in a little bit closer, or you can move that left foot closer to the body by moving it up the leg. Now when you do that, some people might be flexible enough to wrap their right arm around the leg, but on the outside above the foot. Just do what your body dictates for you today. We still have about 30 seconds to go here. You and your breath. Two more breaths in and out. And then release that right leg. Place the right foot to the mat. Uncross that left leg. Take the left foot to the mat. Now here, lengthen both legs out. Let the feet flop apart, let the legs be soft, let the shoulders relax into your rebound. This is when you're more likely to notice where that healthy chi is traveling through the legs, through the meridians, and into your different organs. Now we're going to make our way into a seated position. So take hands, palms down on the mat. Take both feet to the mat. Bring the hips to the right. Roll over to your left side, your yin side. Use your hands to help push you all the way up. And we're coming into a cross-leg position. So in this cross-leg position, we'll come into our next pose, which is again working into the hips. We're working the hips differently in this pose. One will be internally, the other will be externally. And this is going to be deer pose. So we'll start with the right foot as parallel as possible to the front of your mat. Now the left leg will come around and you can have the foot touching that left knee if you choose. You might feel a little lopsided here, and if that's too much of an issue for you, you can always prop that right hip up with a cushion or a blanket. A couple of breaths here. Now taking your right hand onto that left knee and take your left hand behind you. Here, it's a twist, it's a hip opener. Sorry, I haven't put my timer on. We'll do 2 minutes now. I've been talking. It's a hip opener that combines the inner and the outer rotation of the hips. So it really creates a balance in your joints. Now we're combining this with a twist. It just helps to stimulate your digestion and soothe any lower back discomfort that you might have. So just gently looking over your left shoulder and breathing into it. Take your awareness to your hips. See if you can notice how one is externally rotated and the other is internally rotated. So really the joints you're working into are your large hip joints, the biggest joints in the body. A few more breaths to go here. So what I'd like you to do now is just turn your head to look over the right shoulder. Stay 3 breaths here. And then releasing the hands, bringing the body back to the front. Bring your legs out, lengthen them out, take the hands behind you and leaning back. Head back a little bit, this is your rebound. Try and relax the legs. I had mine feet flexed then. It's easy to do that. Just try and relax and let go. And then looking forward and walking the hands further forward. Now we're going to make our way to the opposite side in your deer pose. So take the left leg as parallel as possible to your mat. If that's not working for you, that's okay. Because of knee issues, you can bring the foot in a little bit. Remember to listen to your body. Take the right foot, keep the foot and the right leg somewhere touching, and that right foot behind you. Now take your left hand onto that right knee, right hand onto the mat. Here, if you like, lengthen through the spine as you inhale, and when you exhale, twist to the right, looking over your shoulder. Into your deer pose, noticing the joints. One externally rotated hip and the other one internally rotated. The meridians you're working into here would be the gallbladder and your stomach. The chakras that you'd be stimulating. Be again the Shavasana chakra. That is your second chakra. That orange spinning disc. Now that one deals with your emotions. Whenever we do hip work, we also work into that Shavasana chakra. So you might find some emotions creeping to the surface, and that's perfectly fine. And the other chakra is the Manipura chakra, which is just above the navel. That yellow spinning disc, connected to your self-esteem. So I want you to be your own person here. Just listen to your body and only go as deep as you're able to. We're all unique beings. So listen to that uniqueness. Following your breath in and out. Now your next inhale, turn your head to the left. Look over the left shoulder. 3 breaths here. And then release the arms. Bring the arms around to the front. Bring the legs out. Feel free to use your hands to make sure the legs come out. And lean back into the hands, relaxing the legs. You can bring the head back if that feels good for you. This is your rebound. This is when we notice all of those sensations. Now bringing the head forward and bringing the hands forward. Coming into our next pose in our hip sequence, we're coming into a shoelace pose. Now this can be quite a difficult pose to come into, particularly for people either with sore knees or hip issues. So I'll give you a variation first. So bending both knees, feet to the mat, let's take the right foot up towards that left hip. Now if that's too strong for you, bring it out a little bit. Now that might be enough for you with that right leg as it is, or what you can do then is take that left leg so the foot is in front of that knee. You will be feeling on the outside of that right hip, it's working there. Now for coming into the full shoelace pose, which we're doing, But this is a variation. If you need to honour your body. The full shoelace is to lift that foot up. Now we're going to try and stack the knees, one on top of the other. This will depend on your hips. Some people might find, grab my block, some people might find that their top leg, their top knee is way up. If that's happening for you, you can pop a block under that, or a cushion or a blanket, just for a little bit of extra support. Or you go back into your variation. It's quite an intense pose, this one. So here we're only going to be staying 2 minutes. So what you can do is take the hands onto the soles of the feet, encourage the top of the feet to come down toward the mat, lengthening through the spine. It's okay to close your eyes down and listen to your breath. Working externally into the hip joints. Meridians you're targeting would be for going to the gallbladder, the liver, the kidneys, and your bladder. Now, a lot of you might like just to stay where you are, right here. If your body tells you to, you can lean forward, walk your hands down, and resting the head down to wherever it chooses to go. Again, we're working into the Shavasana chakra. That swirling orange disc governing your emotions. Next inhale, lifting the head. Use your hands, palms down, to walk all the way back up if you're leaning forward. And take the hands behind you. Lean into the hands, lift the knees up, bring the legs out. And again, resting here. Drop the head back if that's okay for you. Always take a few moments in a rebound between the poses. Some other people teach a yin practice without the rebounds, but I was taught by Tara Fitzgibbon, and I was always taught to do a rebound so you can really stay with the poses, stay with the sensations. Now bringing the head forward, and we're going to make our way into the opposite side. So this time bending the knees. Now we'll take that left foot up towards that right hip and coming into a variation if you need to, just by having that right foot on the mat with the knee up, or bringing it over so you can stack the knees into your shoelace pose. You might even be able to go a bit deeper by wiggling the feet out a little bit away from the body and taking the hands onto the soles of the feet, encouraging the top of the feet to come down onto the mat. But we're not holding tension in the shoulders, we're letting those shoulders come down and breathing through it here. when your mind wanders, and it probably will, you bring it back to your breath. Your breath is that key ingredient to keeping you grounded where you are, to allow your focus to be one-pointed. Follow your breath. Now, if you choose to take the hands off the feet and fold down over the legs, walk the hands down. When your head comes down, you can take the palms of the hands facing upward. Drop the head down, relaxing into it for the last 30 seconds of this pose. On your next inhale, take palms down onto the ground. Use your hands to help walk all the way back in. Take your hands behind you. Lift the knees up and uncross the legs. Bring the legs out. Leaning back. You can drop the head back. Relax the legs. Relax the feet. And then bringing the head forward. And walking the hands forward. Now, the next pose we're coming into here is a frog pose. And this is really quite a deep hip opener. So, come making your way onto your knees. I recommend that you face the skinny side of your mat, you grab a blanket and place a blanket lengthwise over the mat so that one end is well over one side, one end is well over the other side. This will help protect your knees. Now we're coming onto your hands and knees to start with. We're working into frog pose, so let's part the knees. You might like to just try mat width apart, or if you're able to, a little bit deeper. The feet can stay, the toes can stay together. If you're finding that blanket is not thick enough for you, then double it over. Make sure you listen to your body. Now the toes can stay together. And then slowly bringing them out so that the feet and the knees are in alignment. And pop the timer on for 3 minutes. Now this is quite an intense pose because we're working into the hips and the lower back. If you find that the 3 minutes is too long, slowly make your way out onto your abdomen. From here, you can come down onto your elbows, dropping the head down. Let the knees come apart a bit more. Now, if your head comes close to the mat. It might touch the mat or it might not. But you can always take a block or a cushion or another blanket and rest your forehead onto that. When you do that, you then stimulate the parasympathetic nervous system. That is the rest and digest system. So we're stirring up a lot of emotions here, working into the Shavasana chakra, and that orange spinning disc that is associated with your emotions. I'd like you now, if you can, just to embrace the intensity of this pose. Just feel it. Feel it. And be with it. Let it dissipate with each exhalation. Focusing on your breath will also help to take your mind off what's happening within the hips. Working into the liver, the kidneys and the gallbladder. Only if you're able to, you can slide those legs out a little bit further. Take the feet a little bit further out. Maybe now your head can reach the floor. It's perfectly fine if it doesn't. I've been practicing yoga for many years now. I'm a little more flexible than some people, and that's okay not to be flexible. You're perfect just the way you are. Now on your next inhalation, looking forward, try, it's okay to groan. It's like an Om and Yang yoga. Try to bring those knees in closer together. Walk your arms out, rest your body down onto the mat. And you can rest your head onto your hands. And relaxing, feeling what was happening within. Now from here, take your hands under your shoulders. Push into your hands. Lift the hips all the way up. Bring the hips now down to the heels in extended child pose. A few breaths here. Then bringing the hands in towards you and standing up onto your knees. Coming into the next pose, which is a bit of a back bend as well. It's Camel Pose. So in your Camel Pose, you can keep the blanket under your knees if you like. You can keep the tops of the feet on the mat, or you can tuck the toes under, which then brings the heels up higher. Camel Pose again can be quite intense. I'm going to show you a variation first, and this variation either having the toes tucked under or the feet flat on the mat. Take both hands to the lower back, gently pushing into the hands, leaning back with the head coming up. This is a variation of the full camel pose. And it's quite a good variation. You still get all the benefits. So please listen to your bodies and do that variation if it suits better. So the full variation, either keeping the feet flat or tucking toes under, where you're staying 2 minutes. Take your one hand onto one heel, one hand onto the other heel. The hips are coming forward. And the head then is coming back. So we're working into the hips, the lower spine, the shoulders and the ankles. As you can imagine, your bladder and the kidneys, as well as the spleen and the stomach, have been targeted by that healthy chi. And the Swadhisthana chakra, dealing with your emotions. And also, because we have the heart opened here, we have that green and a heart chakra behind the heart, a green spinning disc sending love and compassion. So this camel pose just offers a deep extension of the hips. Follow your breath. Just let the sensations be whatever they are. Don't push them away and don't attach to them. We've got about another 3 breaths here. On your next inhale, gently lift the head, look over your body, and coming all the way back up. Staying here a few breaths, standing on your knees. And now take the hips to the heels. Bring the arms beside the body into child pose, head down. Then slowly lifting the head and coming back into a seated position. I'm going to remove the blanket that I have on my mat, and feel free to keep yours there if you like. And now we're coming into our final pose, which is going to be laying down on the mat. Lengthening the legs out first. Just rest here for a couple of breaths. We're coming into a spinal twist. Now each side of your spinal twist, we're going to be holding for 3 minutes. So bend your right knee. Push the foot into the mat. Lift the hips, come onto that left hip as much as you can. Then take that whole right leg over the body. Moving the arms away from the body. You can keep your head facing up toward the ceiling. Timer is on for 3 minutes. Spinal twist is an exceptional pose to finish your practice. It just helps to get rid of any other knots or kinks that might be left within the body. We're targeting the hips and the spine, but also massaging the internal organs. Now, only if your neck is okay, you can turn your head to look over your right shoulder. What's your breath doing? Yes, we're working into the Shavasana chakra. Also the Anahata chakra. Sending love and compassion. Are you relaxed in your hips? Try not to hold tension within the hips. This is a healthy hip opener. Stay with it. Inhaling here, bringing the head back to center. Exhale. Then inhale and lift that right leg up. Take the foot to the mat, square the hips, and lengthen the right leg out, lengthen the left leg out into your rebound. Stay a few breaths. Hopefully by now you're noticing a lot of warmth that is radiating around both hips from the full practice of the healthy hip openers. Now we're going to make our way to the opposite side. So let's bend the left knee, push into that foot, bring the hips, stay onto that right hip, take your left leg over the body. Left arm out beside you, palms facing upward. You can have the head facing the ceiling to start with for a few breaths. Notice the twist in the spine. Notice and feel that rotation, particularly with the hip. Any twist that you're going to be coming into here is squeezing out any toxins that you might have within the internal organs. And then when you unwind and come out of your twist, you send that fresh, healthy, oxygenated blood to all the internal organs, as well as the healthy chi. Turning your head to the left if your neck is okay. Stay with it. Remember, breath by breath, layer by layer, releasing, surrendering. Notice it's a little more difficult to take a deeper inhalation when you have a twist. It's because the diaphragm, that's huge muscle that's attached to the bottom of the lungs, it can't move down as far because the internal organs are squashed up. So therefore you take a shallower breath, and that's perfectly fine. Because when you untwist, when you come back from your twist, that's when you can take a deeper inhalation. Another 3 breaths in and out. And then take the head to look toward the ceiling. Bring that left leg back. Take the foot to the mat, square the hips, bring the arms beside the body. Lengthen that left leg out. Resting in Shavasana, in Dead Man's Pose. This is your rebound. Noticing any sensations that are going on for you. Now I'd like to invite you to stay as you are in Shavasana. If you need to make yourselves a little more comfortable by either using a blanket, if it's cool, pop an eye cushion over your eyes. We're going to stay in Shavasana Relaxation, resting for a few moments. So let the whole body relax. Let the shoulders drop down to the mat. Let the spine release to the floor. Let the buttocks be heavy on the mat. Allow the legs to gently flop apart. Arms resting beside the body, palms facing upward. Taking your awareness to your whole body. I want you to take time now and notice every sensation within your body. See if you can be that silent witness. So notice without attachment. Now let that go, moving your awareness to your breath. Notice the breath in, the breath out. Listen to your breath. Just you and your breath. I'd like you to either stay where you are, resting in Shavasana, or I could invite you now to slowly make small movements. and make your way into a seated position. Taking your hands into a prayer position. Let's take thumbs to your forehead. May you have peaceful thoughts. Thumbs to lips. May you speak your truth. And thumbs to heart. May you be filled with love and light. Namaste. I hope you've enjoyed this healthy hip sequence today. I'm Diane from Yoga in Bawley Point.